Hello everyone. In today's video, I was going to be continuing my Tears of the Kingdom playthrough series / guide. My horse is already walking away from me. It's probably one of the most stubborn horses I've ever had. In the last episode, we unlocked the paraglider and some of the other main important story stuff, including some special gear. Which now I told y'all to mark a specific location on your map, because then we could go there for a bunch of good resources and loot. Basically, that's where we're headed next. But we also need to get this horse registered so we don't lose her, because it's a good 4-spurred horse. A little stable secret in the new game is that once you register a new horse in the game, you can actually trying to think. Oh yes, you can get your original horses from Breath of the Wild. The game saves the data from your original Breath of the Wild account, where they allow you to keep your horses, which is a nice little detail. Right now we're just heading to the stable and the mountain. This is kind of, it's going to be like the Breath of the Wild series I had done, but in this one we're going to be raiding Satori Mountain, but in Tears of the Kingdom, which there are some different things that you'll want to know about, because it's not the 100% same. In front of me actually is the Great Plateau, which you can actually head up there in Tears of the Kingdom. You don't need any special, you don't have to use the rewind ability or build a plane or anything like that. There's actually an entrance for the Great Plateau, but it's been covered with rocks. All the player has to do is blow it up and then they'll be able to get it. Here's where we would have gotten our original starting horse in regular Breath of the Wild. See these bloopies? They'll typically lead you to caves, so make sure you follow them. Which, as you can see, there's one over here. And of course that NPC named Addison. Even if you don't want to explore these caves, it's good to at least get next to the entrance, because as you can see it says Discovery, the Great Plateau Foothill Cave on my map. This will count towards player 100%ing the game, so make sure you do that. In this direction, if y'all remember, is the, I think, Outskirt Stable, which that's where we're going to be heading next. This canyon's a lot more chaotic with the Aracuda enemies, which if you don't know, that's what those flying ones are called. And of course some Bokoblins. That one over there has a mushroom on his weapon, which if he hits you with that, it's going to launch you super far. If you add any mushroom to your weapon, it's going to make it enemies bounce super high and far. As you can see, there's a shrine up there. I'll probably have to do these off camera. Make sure you're getting those as much as you can. In this new game, I'd say try to equal out your hearts and stamina, because you're going to need it for the Master Sword. As you can see, we're at the Outskirts Stable. Although, in my opinion, it's not officially unlocked unless you get the shrine. So that's what I'm going to go do. And then I can get my horse registered. Which I believe, yeah, I have 130 rupees. Same price as it was in Breath of the Wild, which is 20. Although later in the game, the player can unlock, well actually when they talk to the stable owner, they can unlock this pony points system, which is basically a rewards system for the stables. With the reward system, you can get, at one point, a special reward, which is where everything's discounted. And go get my horse and register. I wonder what I should name this horse. I'll think of something. Not that sure if y'all can guess the name of this horse, but I named it Horse 1. The name's good enough for now. Also, because I've played this game so many times that I've run out of horse names. But anyways, now we're going to just continue along this road. Make sure you help that guy Addison with those signs whenever you can. I'm just skipping it to make the videos go by faster. Another thing you could do is wherever he was, you could just put a stamp on your map there for him and then come back later. Same for these quirks with the backpacks, because those can sometimes take a while. We're almost at Satori Mountain, which is actually a pretty fast horse. In the new game, the player can actually upgrade their horses and make them go faster, or make them do more attack damage, basically just whatever the player wants. And the player could technically finally have a max everything horse. In Gears of the Kingdom, however, there's a new system for horses, which is pull, which is how they pull stuff. Well, as you can see, there's Satori Mountain. You're going to want to get the shrine, which is going to be at the apple orchard area. So we're going to want to get that first, and the apples, because it comes in handy for when you only took like a heart of damage from an enemy and you just need something to fill it in. Also, there's a shrine right in front of me, along with that Bloopy. Here, you probably want to leave your horse in this field. As you can see, the main shrine part's gone. When I first saw this in the game, not the green light, but the shrine not having the area around it, for a second I actually thought that it was glitched. Until I figured out that they want you to follow the beam of light to where the crystal is, which would be in the cave over there. I'm not going to go in there because you have to fight one of those Hinox enemies, which the player isn't really cut out for that at the start of the game. But the Hinox enemies aren't too hard to beat, so you could fight them if you wanted to get the crystal. Mainly I'm just coming in this cave, one to unlock it, but to also ascend. The reason we're ascending is because it leads us to one of our first parts of this trip, which is through here. Where, as you can see, there's a bunch of mushrooms, and I wasn't able to defeat that hog enemy right now. Well, it's actually not an enemy, but a wild animal. Anyways. You're gonna see this is first time animation like this one for the children a lot of times. Because this is like where you can find a bunch of random ingredients from all around the world. Oh, I got a Highland Pine Cone. The Pine Cones kind of work like Revali's Gale in Breath of the Wild. Where if you catch them on fire, well mainly it works like the spicy peppers in Breath of the Wild. Where if you set them on fire, it'll create an updraft. Which it can actually be pretty helpful. Here we go. I'm collecting all these mushrooms. There's still some more by the big tree. I like to kind of go in a pattern around all the tinier trees and then get to the big tree just to make sure that I got everything. Which I don't see any more mushrooms. But, however, I believe, yep, there's a quirk seed here. This is actually my first quirk seed. One of many. If you bought the special amiibo for this game, you can get a special paraglider fabric, although you have to go to Hateno Village in order to use it. I don't have any in my inventory right now, which would actually go in your key items inventory. We're heading up to one of our next important locations. It should be around here somewhere. Although you have to fight a bear to get the items because there's a huge bear. It's kind of hard though since bears have, well, it feels like 1,000 health, but I don't think they have that much. Although if you shoot them in the head, then you can instantly get rid of them. Just because the fight will take a long time. Shooting them in the head does over 1,000,000 damage, so that's why you want to shoot them in the head. And as you can see, there's a bunch of spicy peppers, which comes in handy in case you didn't buy any warm gear or get the warm pants from the Great Sky Island. Oh, that's a powerful enemy. Right there, that skeleton moblin. It's actually not too powerful, just if he hits you, it's gonna hurt. I feel like I made it sound super hard. It's actually really easy. A Moblin Arm, which, you saw that number correctly. It adds, it's 28 attack damage. That's how much it does. Although it breaks real easily, so it's kind of like an upside, but there's also downsides to it. I'm gonna use... Yeah, I'll use this. I was just kind of deciding on what I should use. We need to fight these bees. The honey comes in handy, and it's needed for special side quests later on. If you lose it, you can come back here after a blood moon and get it again. Don't forget these Hylian shrooms here, which I believe that was everything, so it's time to continue on. We're almost done with the Satori Mountain run. Oh yes, something to mention to all the players is that they got rid of Hardy Durians. Pretty sure y'all remember. It was that overpowered full recovery fruit that you'd find in the Pharaon jungle, and you'd find 10 of them on Satori Mountain every blood moon. Well, those are no longer in the game, because it kind of broke the cooking mechanic if you think about it, because you only needed one. Person here that needs my help. Yeah, there we go, got the Bako after me. And we're gonna flurry rush him now. Sax does not do too much damage, and enemy health is increased in this new game. Hit him. Okay, I got the Bako stuff. Which now you can talk to the person to get your reward. Which, as you can see, the shrine's just over there. Feel free to do these if you want to. Oh, you saw that, right? It's an Evermean, a new enemy. They're basically just moving trees that attack you. If you have like a big hammer, it won't do damage against them. You have to use like axe weapons or swords. Who's one of these Geese enemies? Always defeat these because you never know you get those Geese eyeballs. Yep. Yeah, one Geese right now just dropped 3 wings. It only has 2. It's kind of odd. Which is oh, a gold apple. You want to make sure to grab these. I wonder where Nintendo got that idea. The idea is probably for Minecraft. Okay, let's see here. Don't worry about the ones super high up unless it's a golden apple and you really want it, like the ones up there. I can typically get a good amount if I don't worry about the ones on the top of the tree, but like try to jump up and grab these ones. Some blue nightshade. Let's see here. I'm just going to continue grabbing all this stuff. Okay, just continuing to grab everything. Which I have 40 apples. That's pretty good, although we can do better. These are believed, yep, they're Evermean enemies. You're just going to want to mainly grab as many of them as you can. Typically when these Evermeans attack, as you can see, they drop some of the apples from the trees. So you can kind of use them to get some of those harder to reach apples. Which I activated that shrine right now. It's one of these golden ones, which I'm going to want to grab that. It's hard not to grab all the apples here. Which, as you can see, we have a good 57, along with some gold apples and some other stuff. Down here, we're going to get a lot of other stuff. There's some deer and stuff here. But pretty much all the, I guess, plant-based stuff you're going to find here. Along with some bird eggs over there, which I will be taking. This mighty thistle flower can be cooked into a meal. If you cook a few of them, you can get an attack up meal. Although it's not as good as the mighty bananas, but still it can serve as an early game attack up meal. I think it's probably one of the only places in the wild the player can actually get swift carrots. Something I forgot to do, but you could do, is put a cooking pot wherever all these little locations are on your map, just so that way you can tell where they are. I know there's another location on the mountain I wanted to go to. do the apple orchard as well, because it's actually pretty good to know where it is. Although it's not necessary since the shrine's right there. The sunrise is nice, although it's probably bright on the camera. Here, if the player does it correctly and throws a bomb flower, they can get all these animals here. Which, as you can see, we got a bunch of roasted drumsticks. It's a bit crazy, but, you know, you get a lot of free food. And a roasted tree nut. At the start of the game, if you don't know, when you click X and then Y, you can do this ground pounding attack. I had done it from this tree, but I had broken this little pot right here, which then I got a cork seed from it. I was a bit confused since I was like, where'd that cork come from? I'm not that sure if it was like a cork puzzle, if I had the ground pound on the ground in a specific spot. But then I realized the shockwave had destroyed the pot. It's still pretty neat though. I was a little bit worried about it because in my regular Breath of the Wild game, I'd accidentally got a random cork seed. I was hunting down some animals, and then for some reason some of them had ran off into the woods, and then the game gave me a cork seed. But the thing is that the cork wasn't there, that gives it to the player. It was just completely invisible, and I didn't see any puzzles nearby where it was that I was able to grab. I ended up just deleting the file just because I didn't know what would happen next, or anything crazy like that. It was fine though, since it was just one of the accounts on my alt. Is that a wolf? Yep, that is a wolf. They'll attack the player, and the player can't lock onto them, so be careful. Here, actually, this little puddle would be where the hardy durian trees were. As you can see, they're no longer here. I guess, make sure you get rid of that red pin from your map. Over there is a stone talus, if you want to grab that. The stone taluses in this game have a special drop, which is called the stone talus heart, where basically it's this giant heart that you can use for... It basically works like a hammer when you add it onto weapons. You're going to want to be careful there with those moblins, because they do a lot of damage. But there's actually... we have to kind of do like a quick kind of thing to get the items from them. Here there's some more blue nightshade. Nightshade, and some Hyrule herbs. Feel free to mark this spot as well with a pot. Down here by these moblins, we're going to want to be careful, but we can grab these Endura carrots, which are pretty good. Just run as fast as you can out of here, because you do not want to stand next to those moblins for too long. In the forest over there, there's this one little area. Well, there's a lot of beehives over there where those trees are down there. And there's also some other flowers and stuff. It's not necessary to grab them, so don't worry. Here's where the diamond rock would have been. As you can see, it doesn't give the player a diamond anymore. If you're a regular Breath of the Wild, I would have said to mark it, but don't do it anymore since it's no longer the diamond rock. Which now I'm just coming back around here to mark this. There's actually a lot of butterflies here, which I just scared off by accident. Like I say, feel free to grab that shrine if you want to. I'm actually ahead of schedule on my video, so right now let's head back. We'll head to Rito Village, just because it'll be helpful for next video. If your horse doesn't have a full bond with the player, which this one looks, well, actually it doesn't look too grumpy as it did earlier. You can tell because they'll kind of look like they're complaining about the player riding on their back. You can just kind of tell by how they look. And then also, it'll occasionally not listen to the player and try to go off the road. But with that, this horse is probably at max bond. Another way to tell is just going to a stable and then trying to take your horse out of the stable. Well, like put your horse in and then take it out, and then he'll show how much status the horse is. And how much the bond the player has with it. If you, however, activated the shrine, which I did the one over there, the swirls will still be there. You have to 100% beat the shrine in order to do it. Although it doesn't count for bonus chests and stuff, so don't worry about getting those. You just have to get the spirit orb from inside of them, and then it'll get rid of the green swirls. That's another reason why I recommend unlocking them. Okay, there's another one of these signs on the side of the road with this guy that holds them up. Over there's a blue boss bokoblin. Well, it did remind me I did want to beat that regular boss bokoblin in the field, although I didn't really have enough time for that. I'll probably do these shrines off camera. Which now we're just going to be doing our basic route to Rito Village, where we follow this road. I ran over a bird. I got this tree nut. Here you'll probably recognize from Breath of the Wild is where we met that Rito named Cass, which he was the one with that accordion. In Tears of the Kingdom he has not been found, so nobody really knows what happened to him in this game. It is kind of strange though. So basically just don't worry about these rings. There's a tower over there. You can unlock that one if you want to. Just try to mainly find as much as you can on the sides of the road, because you never know what'll help you. There's a moblin right there. Oh yes, something important to know is that around here, not that sure if y'all could see it. Yeah, I can't see it from this angle. There's a new stable in that direction, basically. Oh wait, if you see the smoke signal over there, yeah, you should be able to see it. There's actually a stable right there with a shrine. It's called the New Serene Stable. They closed down a lot of regular stables in Breath of the Wild. They closed down the Gerudo Canyon one, which is the one that would have been right in front of the desert. They also closed down the one. If you don't know, there's this one stable called the Snowfield Stable, but the Snowfield Stable's on one side of the canyon, and it leads to a road that leads to the other one on the opposite side of the canyon. Basically, the Snowfield Stable opposite on the other side of the canyon is closed. And also the stable in front of Rito Village has also been closed down as well. But they built this new one since, they're closing down stables left and right. You can actually see one of the stables over there. Wait a minute. I was like, I didn't know what that was over there. That's actually Bako Camp. For a second I thought he was that guy over there with that sign. Y'all remember Addison? He has a sign in that exact shape of that Bako Camp up there, which I thought that he was holding it up there. Sometimes that NPC puts signs in the most questionable places. I think one of them's like at the top of a cliff, and I think another one's on the corner of the world. Although I don't know who's going to go to the corner of the world just to look at a sign. You're just going to want to kind of get your horse there. We're going to get this shrine first. It's raining and the game says it's going to be lightning soon. If you have it on pro mode, then you won't be able to see it. I'll actually realize the camera angle doesn't allow y'all to see it. Sorry. Anyways, we're going to go get the shrine now, which are actually really close by to the stable and Rito Village. As you can see, the shrine's right here. Once again, feel free to do it. From here, just jump down to your horse. Which, yep, there's a cork flower on there, as you can see. And there's a cork right there for a backpack. But I'm just kind of skipping most of the stuff just to kind of make the video go by faster. The corks of the backpacks will actually give you 2 cork seeds instead of 1 for doing their quest, so keep that in mind. To Bantha Bridge Stable. As you can see, we have it right here. Originally in Breath of the Wild, there was this NPC that'd give you 500 rupees to give to the Great Fairy Fountain. The Great Fairy Fountains work a bit different in this game, where you you actually have to do a side quest in order to unlock them. We'll get more into that later. Which, if you look above where Rito Village is, you can see it looks like there's a blizzard over there. Because there is. Look over there, there's a bit of wood over there. Pretty sure you can see that with the hanging part. It's a mini game over there, basically, where they throw these giant inflatable balloon balls at the player, and the player has to pick them up and put them in a swinging basket. Pretty simple. In Breath of the Wild, there are those flying guardians here, if you remember. This time we actually don't have to go around the canyon, we can just go through without a problem. Because there aren't any more flying guardians. Every last guardian in Breath of the Wild is gone, except for the one on top of the Sheikah Tech Lab. You can see a smoke signal in there, which is an NPC trapped in there. We'll be able to help him later on. He's actually part of the quest line for unlocking the Great Fairies. Alright, now we're just going to continue on the road. It's actually been pretty easy getting to Rito Village. Well, in Breath of the Wild it was easy, but it just took a lot longer because you had to kind of do that canyon maneuver where you'd go around on this side of the canyon and then call your horse and wait for your horse to get back. Probably going to do some preparing off camera, just so that way I can get more gear and stuff. Because if you don't really prepare in this game, it will not end well. There's actually this really hard mid-game boss fight that's pretty much mandatory to beat the game, which I'll tell you all when it's time. There's that NPC Addison once again, holding up that sign. Which now here's the very thin bridge that the horse refuses to run on, which looks like there's a battle talus down there. One of those battling stone talus with a Bako camp on it. I think one of the game descriptions for them says that the stone taluses don't feel those Bako blends on top of them, so that's why the Bakos have decided to build on there. Here you're gonna find some Lizalfos, just run past them. Not too big of a thing to worry about. This guy has fire fruits, so be careful, because I don't know if you'll saw, but they'll blow up if they touch the ground. Well, some of them will make it, but some of them, if they get too launched high, if they get launched too high up, then they'll explode. You'll probably remember Rito Village from Breath of the Wild. As you can see, there's a blizzard here, which includes the stable. Well, it's no longer a stable. Well, okay then. I just got a panic blood moon, which is when the game thinks you've picked up too many items, and then starts a blood moon. If you look here, you can just jump on this ice, which then you'll be able to break it. Here is the newspaper company, which they'll give you a special armor set if you do their quest line. Which I'm pretty sure I mentioned the newspaper company last episode. Something I should have done when I was up there is get that shrine, which y'all can see the green swirls for it. As you can see, we're just going to go get that now. Just because it's like our only way of teleporting back here. Which, later on, the player will learn why there's a blizzard here in the first place. It's not your normal blizzard. You can actually send it in this land bridge right here. We're just going to throw a fire fruit there. Oops, probably shouldn't have jumped on it. Here we go. Now that this shrine's activated, we'll head back down to the newspaper company. I'm gonna call down my horse just because you can't get it from the stable manager. this stable closed down. This is one of them I mentioned. Actually, I might not have mentioned this one. But anyways, this stable is closed down because of the blizzard. And nobody's really coming to Rito Village now. You can finally walk in here. I'm just going to skip this. Now we have this side quest, which is potential princess sighting, where basically they're going to have you go to all these different stables, which my horse actually made it. But also, if you look here, there's the frog set of armor. Basically, this is what everybody wanted in Breath of the Wild, which will grant immunity to slipping during climbing in rain. Although you have to upgrade it for that. If you wear the set originally, it'll just give you resistance to that. Pick up these pine cones because we're going to need them. Of course, we're going to have to leave here, unfortunately, because, as you can see, the bridge is out at Rito Village. If you talk to her, she'll tell you that you can use pine cones to create updrafts, which is basically what we're going to be doing. You just got to set them on fire. Which, as you can see, we created this big fire, but also a big updraft. Don't worry about the breaking the ice here because there's just water underneath them. As you can see, perfectly good water. Just be careful in other areas. If you listen to the music here, although I have my sound turned off, if you do listen to the music though, you'll actually hear it's like a more saddened version of the Rito Village song. It's pretty much like that for all the villages, since all the events of Ganon coming back. I was kind of like jumping on this ice. Of course, we're going to want to get the shrine for this village. As you can see, we're just going to run up and get to the shrine. Actually, it's not even up here anymore. You can talk to the statue here to get your heart containers and stuff renewed. Make sure you're looking down here. Oh, yep, there are the green swirls. As you can see, the shrine's down here. I think that'll be a good spot to leave off on this video. Well, anyways, I hope you all enjoyed this video. So please like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Goodbye.